Hey, booyakasha, and welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast. What is up? I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. I have my shirt on. Alongside me is the mad scientist, Brian Banner. He does not. Thank you for checking us out. This is the podcast where we talk superheroes, movies, and superhero movies. We're running a little short-handed today, so Banner's going to be twice as ridiculous to make up for it. Before we get started with all of our comic and superhero movie news, let's just go around into the lab and introduce, as always, Brian Banner is with me. Brian, what's going on, man?
Look, I've been drinking since I got off work. That was a while ago.
I don't think you're as drunk as you're pretending to be. I think you're doing it for attention a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little. It adds drama and suspense to the show.
That is true, and that's what makes
it's
movies.
Called acting. Acting, Hornacek.
All right.
Acting.
Fair enough. I know nothing about it. That is what makes movies great. So let's jump right into it, guys. And the most important thing in any bro's life, as you know, is chest day. So we're starting our chest day with some news about the new upcoming movie in 2018, Avengers Infinity War. As always, we get our news from Geek Motivation. And here is the story. Earth's mightiest heroes and the galaxy's biggest a-holes will have to save our poor souls from the mad titan Thanos, who will make his first destructive appearance on May 4th, 2018. Day before Cinco de Mayo, I will be hammered drunk. That's not in the article. I added that. A while back, the next two Avengers movies were in two parts, but were separated into their own stories, and now they will be filming back-to-back instead of simultaneously. President Kevin Feige of Marvel Studios insisted that, and we get this quote from Heroic Hollywood, and Feige says, quote, "We're doing them one right after another. It became too complicated to cross-board them like that, and we found ourselves, again, something would always pay the price. We wanted to be able to focus and shoot one movie and then focus and shoot another movie." So, Banner, obviously we're just finding an excuse to talk about Avengers Infinity War because we can't fucking wait for it. What do you make of this news of them to not shoot them as one movie or in one shoot but shoot them back to back? What does this mean for the stories? Do you think it changes them at all? And also, just how excited are you for this movie to come out?
First off, I am over the top excited for this movie. I don't think I've been this excited for a movie in the MCU since probably the Avengers.
Yeah.
I've been super excited for all the other ones, but this is when we get the culmination of everything, and we get a great comic book arc in the Infinity Gauntlet coming out in this one, which will bring us – we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not surprised that they're filming this one at a time, though. You know, I'm always skeptical when you film two movies at the same time, kind of like what they did with Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3. They filmed those simultaneously.
Didn't they film like all 94 Hobbit movies back to back to back to back to back to back?
Yeah, but it was back to back to back, not simultaneously. So
okay.
I think there's a big difference there. But yeah, they did do like 1,000 Hobbit movies like that as well. I think that part of the reason as well is all the contractual issues and contractual stuff that's coming out with like Chris Evans and Spider-Man and Iron Man and all of that they had to change the story of the second one, and they're not sure exactly what that's going to look like, so they can't film them simultaneously.
Yeah, I think this probably
that has a big part to do with
it. For me, this probably means, I think we knew the whole time that these would kind of have one through line, Josh Brolin just being a badass as Thanos. But this probably is a little bit of an indication that they are definitely going to be two separate movies where, like, you can go back and probably watch the second one and not be like, who, why, what, where, why are we here? What's happening? So I agree with you. I think we're probably going to see some sort of like the Avengers disassembled, and not to the point where they were in Civil War, but like, yeah, half of us are dead, so we need some help here. Regardless, the fact that the Russos are in charge here, I just have the ultimate faith in them. So whatever Marvel's decision was, at the end of the day, I would have trusted it. But this is good to know that they're at least saying the right things and emphasizing, hey, we just want to make a good movie, not some pile of shit that, you know, is like 11,000 hours long.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing that we have to remember, too, is in the third Avengers movie, the one that's coming out first, they have to bring the Guardians to Earth. They have to have Captain America and Iron Man squash their differences. They have to bring Thanos to Earth and bring all those storylines and all those together and all those characters together. And then in the next one, they have to kill off half their cast. So that's a lot to do, and you can't just mix all that up in a big giant pot of gumbo. You have to do it very strategically without pissing a billion people off.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces. I know that the Russos kind of Some people think they were joking. I don't know if they were when they said they had something like 67 characters on magnets on this whiteboard in their office that they were trying to manipulate for these movies. Maybe that's not a joke, man. Maybe they're not the dude who's like, yeah, I have a pet Ewok at home and he's making it up. Maybe they actually have a fucking pet Ewok. And this is really going to be like the biggest movie of all time. And we need to shoot it back to back as opposed to simultaneously. So regardless,
I
Marvel
heard
has...
Ewoks bite.
I can't confirm or deny that, man. I think it all depends on the Ewok and the environment he's raised
Do
in.
they carry rabies, though?
All right. That will close us out with our chest
Well,
day
no,
topic.
it's a legitimate question. If you're in the market to buy an Ewok, I want to know if I need to get a rabies shot or
It
not.
is a legitimate question. You know that I'm not going to sit here and group all Ewoks into one category. I just don't think that's who I am as a person, and I'm kind of offended that you want to paint me into a corner like that.
All right.
Moving on, Banner, I actually have a question.
I have another question for you.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Do Ewoks even lift?
Do they even lift, bro?
Bro, do they even lift?
Do Ewoks even lift? And that brings us to our fan question segment. The one question bros always ask each other, do you even lift? Even Ewok bros, dudes that walk around with traps so big that they can't even pick up those little like stick things that they hit stormtroopers with. So now this is where we like to interact with all the fans across the internet in the deep, darkest crevices of Twitter, asking questions about superheroes movies and superhero movies. And our first question of the day comes from Josh Dennison at Josh L. Dennison, excuse me. And he says, in honor of my 21st birthday, what's your favorite drunk scene in a film and favorite film to watch drunk? And first off, happy 21st birthday,
Happy
Josh.
Birthday, dude. Best birthday ever.
Definitely.
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Crush it. I hope you're safe. I hope you dominate it. And if you're listening to the Broforce Squad, thanks so much for making us a part of it. This is an
And if you
awesome...
don't feel like death the next day, do it again.
Yeah, we're great to listen to hungover. This is a great question, man. I think one of the only thing that's more fun than watching movies with your friends is watching movies with your friend drunk. So, Banner, let's go first with drunk scene in a movie. What comes to mind for you there?
Drunk scene? Oh, man. I misread the question. I just went with a drunk movie. A drunk scene, though?
That's fine. Good.
Like, is this like... Yeah, my favorite drunk movie, though, is Pirates of the Caribbean. Anytime I'm drunk, I put Pirates of the Caribbean in the first one. Because it just
you must
makes
watch that
me
movie a lot,
want to get more drunk and throw back more shots of rum. And it's awesome.
Well, then I'll take the other half of the question. My favorite drunk scene in a movie, and there are a lot of good drunk scenes in movies, is the Frank the Tank scene in Old School when he initially comes in with the wild cherry Pepsis. You know, got a pretty busy little Saturday. He's got to go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and then shit just hits the fan. He gets out of control, and he's the life of the party. And at that point, in my mind, as far as like a cinematic comedian, Will Ferrell was born as Frank the Tank. So, Josh, awesome question. Be safe. I hope you have a Frank the Tank-like moment. Fill that up again! Hope that happens to you.
Give me another.
All right. Our next question comes from D. Frems at the Frems Critic. And he says, or she says, I guess, what standalone Star Wars film do you guys want the most? For me, it's Obi-Wan. And I'll say this, D. Frems, I think that is probably the most likely to happen, is an Obi-Wan movie. If you said, Jeff, bet the farm that you own on a movie right now. I'm not losing my chickens and my pigs. And I'm going to say an Obi-Wan movie. But...
Well, the problem is you also own an ostrich farm, so, I mean...
That the government doesn't know about until now. Thanks. For me... As far as a standalone movie, so here's the thing. There's a lot of theories out there that Snoke is Darth Plagueis, right? If that is not the case, then I would love to see a Darth Plagueis movie. A Darth Plagueis movie with, like, the Emperor as his apprentice. And how about this? Let's even go further in fan cast. What do you think about Tom Hiddleston playing a young Palpatine in this movie?
Fucking love it.
Yeah. Boner alert.
It.
Woo, woo! Banner, what do you got
that
for
would be
Star
awesome.
Wars
If we could
anthology?
somehow get Hiddleston in a Star Wars movie, that'd be disgusting.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Needs to happen. What's your pick for a Star Wars
I'm kind of with
anthology?
you. I like the idea of like a Darth Bane movie. You know, way back when, if you read any of the books, you know they have like Sith academies and stuff. Something like that. Or this is one that I've been kind of toying with recently is a Princess Leia movie where she was obviously born in the rebellion, for the rebellion, was groomed and molded to be a leader in the rebellion, and show her growing up to the point where she gets the plans to the Death Star in Rogue One. I think that would be really cool, really interesting. at somebody growing up. We've seen kind of Anakin grow up as a Jedi, but let's see somebody grow up in this rebellion fighting for a cause that really she wasn't born about. She has no idea why they're fighting. She's just fighting for it.
And I mean, Carrie Fisher obviously left behind a daughter who Billie Lourd, I believe, is her name. She was in The Force Awakens, but how cool would it be to have her cast and play Princess Leia? I know that may be a sensitive issue for some people, but would almost be like an awesome tribute and help carry on her legacy. Both good choices. All right, our next question
Really
comes from John Rousseau at John Rousseau 96, and he says, "If Wonder Woman and Justice League do poorly, is it over for the DCEU?" Wow, Banner, what do you think?
I think you have to define poorly here. Okay, there's two different sides to this, or kind of three different sides to this. Is a movie bad because it's just a bad story and it's bad shot and dialogue is bad and bad acting, or does it do bad financially? Do the critics not like it but the fans like it? There's a lot of different ways you can go with this. At the end of the day, both of these movies are going to make a shit ton of money.
Agreed.
Which means they're going to continue to make DCU movies. I think you have to have 4 flops, and in flops I mean fans don't like them. You have to have basically 4 Suicide Squads in a row. Then they're going to pump the brakes and go, hey, wait a minute. Why are these not good? Then they'll start to lose money. I still think we're 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 movies away from the DCU from being dead. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, so it's a fair question from John, I think, just because with both these things, with the MCU and the DCEU, you have to ask, like, I know that the superhero genre itself has been propped up on some great movies and a long list of successful films, but how fragile is this whole genre? Like, how many, just in general, how many bad movies in a row do we need before people have the quote-unquote superhero fatigue that we've been hearing about forever, I feel like. But in my mind, I just don't think this can happen because 2 things. Number one, I don't think Wonder Woman will be a failure critically. I think fans and critics will like the movie just because of what it's going to do for women in the superhero genre, and Patty Jenkins is a great director. So I don't see that getting bad reviews. It may not make a ton of money at the box office compared to some of the much bigger and well-known properties, but it'll do fine. And then Justice League, honestly, no matter how bad that movie is, which I don't think it will be bad, but it's going to make $1 billion at the box office. So really, regardless, I don't think there's any way that the DCEU comes out after these 2 movies at the end of the year and says, oh shit, we're in trouble. Now, the one thing I'll say, and this is a long-winded answer to your question, John, I think if Justice League does poorly with critics and Wonder Woman doesn't do as well at the box office, we may see less quote-unquote risks from DC. I know they have their big Batman slate coming out in 18 and 19 with the Nightwing and the Batgirl movie, but we may just see less, like, more obscure properties get adapted. Like, I still don't know if that Shazam movie's getting fucking made, to be honest. I don't know. We'll see. Fair enough question.
Who knows?
Yeah, The Rock probably doesn't even know at this point. He's got a little bit of...
But you know he's going to be down.
Yeah, as long as he can lift weights on set, he's cool, which I don't think they would forbid him from. All right, guys, we appreciate the fan love and the questions. Thank you guys for checking us out. We have been the Bro Force Squad. For the mad scientist, Brian Banner, I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. Be sure to check us out at broforcesquad.com. Follow us on Twitter at BroForceSquad. Subscribe to us, YouTube and iTunes, Bro Force Squad, 3 words, and give us a like on Facebook, Bro Force Squad Podcast. Thank you guys, and we will check you next time.